Hello and good day, my cyber friends and family. We welcome back to Uncle God's Cyber Talk and Life Hack channel, where we learn everything in SOC Analyst Pathway Level 1 through the lens of Try Hack Me. And today we are going to be looking at Introduction to EDR. What is EDR? EDR simply stands for Endpoint Detection and Response. If you are just joining my page, you're welcome, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Without much further ado, let's move into the full introduction. EDR simply means Endpoint Detection and Response. It is a security solution designed to monitor, detect, and respond to advanced threats at the endpoint level. So as a SOC analyst entry level, you are to understand how an EDR works, how to work with an EDR, how to pick up alerts from an EDR, triage, and rectify anomalies. Let's look at our learning objectives for today. Number 1, understand the basics of EDR and how it works. 2, differentiate EDR from traditional antivirus solutions. 3, examine the architecture of an EDR solution. 4, analyze the types of telemetry it collects from endpoints. 6, understand the detection and response capability of an EDR. 7, as the last, investigate a realistic alert in the EDR. So here we move to answer our first question, and we move to task 2. What is EDR? EDR is a detection solution, an endpoint detection solution. So what does it do? EDR protects devices. It helps organizations implement several security measures, most of which are to protect the network on which they operate. However, the fast adoption of remote work has exposed these devices as they are out of the perimeter protection deployed on the organization's network. Now let us see some EDR solutions. Number 1, we have the CrowdStrike Falcon. We have the Sentinel-1 Active EDR. We have the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. We have the Open EDR, and also Symantec EDR. We move to the features of EDR. EDR contains 3 major features, which is visibility, detection, and response. For visibility, this helps us to see the holistic landscape of every activity going on in the endpoint. This is one of the features of EDR that makes it unique from other endpoint solutions. It collects detailed data from the endpoint, which includes process modification, registry modifications, file and folder modification, user action, and many more. We move down to see a chain of execution. We have TOR. So one of the TORs produce rar.exe, while the one below produce several trees which range from the soy.exe and also the net.exe. So from the soy.exe we can see further expansion, the cmd.exe and the cs.exe. Let's move to detection. How does EDR actually detect all of these things that we are actually talking about today? It incorporates signature-based detection as well as behavior-based detection, such as unexpected user activity. With modern machine learning capabilities, it identifies any deviation from the baseline behavior and instantly flags it. It can also detect files malware that resides in the memory. It also allows us to feed custom IOCs for threat detections. Looking at what we have here, we can see some chain of executions and the tactics VA technique. So we move to the response. EDR also empowers analysts to take actions on detected threat. These actions can be taken at any endpoint within the central EDR console. Imagine getting a detection on the EDR with full-fledged details on when, where, and what happened, and you have the option for the best possible action for that detection. As an analyst, what do? You may decide to isolate completely, terminate the process, or quarantine some of the files. So in response, EDR gives you a range of options on what to do according to what it has detected. Let's move further. Let's answer question 1. Which features of EDR provides a complete context for all the detection? Our answer there is visibility. Why is it visibility? Because a good analysis often depends on the available level of visibility of the activity. Why? It collects details from endpoints, which include process modification, like we said before, registry modification, file and folder modification, user action, and much more. So our answer there is visibility. Which process spawned cs.exe? Looking at the tree above, we can see that the process before cs.exe is cmd.exe. Task 3. Beyond antivirus. Why do we need EDR when we already have an antivirus? Let it be known that an EDR is far more advanced and different from an antivirus. Number 1. An EDR detects deep advanced threats. An antivirus detects basic threats. Why EDR detects advanced threats? Also, antivirus softwares are basic signature based, while EDR are both basic signature based and behavior signature based. And EDR also provide organization-wide visibility of any activity, but an antivirus is just basic. Example, if a suspicious file is detected on one endpoint, the EDR will also check it across all other endpoints. Meaning, if you have one suspicious file on one endpoint, an antivirus will detect it, but will not check on other endpoints. But EDR detects on one endpoint and check on other several endpoints that is being connected. Let us look at the scenario breakdown. Number 1, a user receives a phishing email with a Word document embedded with a malicious macro VBA script. Step 2, the user downloads the document and opens it. Step 2, the user downloads the document and opens it. Step 3, the malicious macro is silently executed and it spawns PowerShell. Step 4, the malicious macro runs an obfuscated PowerShell command to download a sophisticated second stage payload. Step 5, the payload is injected into the legitimate svc host.exe. Step 6, the attacker gains remote access to the system. We have just read through the scenario. Let us answer the questions below. In the given analogy, what represents an AV, also known as antivirus? We said an antivirus can be compared to an immigration check. Immigration check is our answer. Question number 2. Which legitimate process was hijacked by the attacker in this scenario? The process that was hijacked is the SVC host here. SVC host. The third question as the last, which security solution might mark this activity as clean? The antivirus is the solution. We move to task 4. How an EDR work? It works in 3 major stages, which is number 1, the agent, number 2, the EDR console, and what happens after the detection. Agents are agent solutions that will be installed in the endpoint so that the EDR can collect activities from those endpoints and send them to the EDR console. So what are the jobs of the agent? The agent stand as the persons at the airport that checks everybody that goes into the airport and that leaves the airport. Now, these people that check every person that goes into the airport and leaves the airport now send a message about any suspicion to the EDR console that are top or senior immigration personnel. Let us look at it from that context. We can integrate multiple endpoints with our EDR and manage them through a centralized console. There are EDR agents that we have to deploy inside these endpoints. These agents are also referred to as sensors. Another name for agents, EDR agents, is called a sensor. They are the eyes and the ears of the EDR. Their job is to sit at the endpoint and monitor all the activities. After monitoring these activities, they send messages to the EDR console. The EDR console is an advanced threat intelligence platform in the EDR package or software that treats threat intelligence information by matching. That is why the EDR has behavioral based detection and also activity based detection. It sees an activity that is malicious, it detects it. It also sees a behavior or a pattern that is malicious, and it also has a signature based criteria or features that helps the EDR to spot immediately it notices a malicious signature or a prototype. Hence, the agent collects information and sends it to the console for further analysis. What happens after detection? When a detection comes, it is a SOC analyst responsibility to acknowledge the alert and prioritize it. So after the alert is being taken by the agent and fed to the console, it is now the job of the SOC analyst on shift to prioritize those alerts and triage it. In triaging, the prioritization is made easy by the EDR itself because it gives the severity of all alerts ranging from critical, high, medium, low, and informational. The alert with the highest severity is investigated as a priority. For further investigation, once the alert is clicked, the analyst can see all the details in the detection. EDR with other tools. EDR can be combined with our SIM2, firewall, email security gateway, IAMs. It can also be combined with other EDR solutions. Let us answer the first question. Which component of the EDR is responsible for collecting telemetry from the endpoint? We have the agent. Remember, we can't collect information. Those information or data that has been collected are what we call telemetry. An EDR agent is also known as a sensor. We move to Task 5, EDR telemetry. What is a telemetry? Telemetry are data. They are data points, they are data that are picked up by the agent and transferred to the EDR console for further analysis. The telemetry is the black box of an endpoint detection tool with everything necessary for detection and investigation. Collected telemetries are sent from the agent to the console for further analysis. In the analysis, EDR collects these details in form of the telemetry from the endpoint and lets us to make decisions on what to do. So from there, we can look at process execution and terminations. We can look at network connection. We can also look at command line activity. We can also look at files and folder modification. We can also look at registry modification. Now, with this evidence or with this information in handling a telemetry from the agents in the console, we can decide what to do. If it is malicious, what to do. If it is not malicious, what to do, depending on the kind of telemetry that we are dealing with. So we move to the next question. Which telemetry data helps in detecting C2 communication? Our answer is network connections. Why? Because the threat actor tries to bridge the device he is attacking with his own device so he can have remote access, and this can only be done over a network. So that is why our answer is network connection. Where are the configuration settings of Windows system primarily stored? They are stored in the registry. That is why the EDR will help us to detect registry modification and other types of modification. Number 6, detection and response capability. With EDR, we can detect and also respond, but the response is dependent on the kind of information that was detected, the kind of activity that was detected, and this can be broken down into several techniques. We have behavioral detection, anomaly detection, IOC matching, we have mitral attack mapping, and also we have machine learning algorithm. So the EDR helps us to detect each and every of these form of detections that we have listed here. While in the response, it tells us what to do or how to go about it, because it does not just give you it has detected something, it gives you a possible solution. So you as the SOC analyst, you know from where to pick from. Now in the response, it can give you a prompt solution to say isolate host or terminate process or quarantine or remote access, depending on what it has detected. So artifact collection, these are the things that are needed or extracted by the analyst to actually triage that detection that was discovered. So it can be in any form, like memory dump, event log, specific folder content, or registry hive. Let's answer the question. Which feature of EDR helps you to Let's answer the question. Which feature of EDR helps you identify threats based on known malicious behaviors? Known malicious behaviors. Which EDR? IOC matching. That is our answer. IOC matching. IOC matching is our answer. Now we move to task 7. In task 7, we investigate an alert on EDR. So we click on our view site to open. Question number 1, which tool was launched by cmd.eth .exe to download the payload on desktop HR01. So let's look at desktop HR01 and let us look at the process information. From what we have here, after CMD is CUEXE. So the CURL.exe is our answer. What is the absolute path to the downloaded malware on the desktop HR1 machine? What is the absolute path? For us to see the absolute path, we are to click on IOC and indicators to see the absolute path. And the absolute path is this. We copy and we paste. The next one is, what is the absolute path to the suspicious syncsvc.exe on the Windows ENG laptop 03? Let's come back to all detections and look for laptop 03. Laptop 03, open. The absolute path for laptop 03. The absolute path for laptop 03 is this. We copy and we paste. On which URL was the exfiltration attempt being made on the same laptop P03? Let's come back here on this, scroll down, look at it. Network activity attempted to exfiltrate this. We copy and we paste. Then the last one, what was the update agent.exe labeled by? Threat intel on desktop dev01. So let's come back to all detections and look for desktop dev01. We look at the process. We come to update agent.exe and look at the threat intel. The threat intel is known internal IT tool. We copy and we paste. At this point, I think we are done. We can close our split view. And in conclusion, remember, if everyone can teach everyone, what a better place the world will be. I remain Uncle God's Cyber Talk and Life Hack channel host. Thank you and have a nice day.